The Flex Zone podcast. It's Monday. You know what that means. Episode 379. Oh, so divine. Only place giving you sports how you want it when you need it. You guys know the drill. It's Super Bowl week, and we're kicking off our Sports and Blackness series as we got two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl going head to head for the first time. You know, we breaking down the Super Bowl better than anybody else on YouTube. We're talking about the Kyrie Irving trade to the Mavericks. And of course, talking about the Pro Bowl and that wonderful 30 for 30 documentary highlighting the Bullies of Baltimore. The crew's all here. Vote on the poll. Let us know who you have winning the Super Bowl. Only place giving you sports how you want it when you need it. Flex Zone Podcast. New episode. Episode 379. Coming to you live right after this. Knocking out the competition harder than they were playing yesterday during that flag football Pro Bowl. It's the Flex Zone Podcast. Only place, fellas, giving you sports how you want it.
When you need it.
Episode 379, So Divine, kicking off the Sports and Blackness series. Happy Black History Month to you, and you.
Yes.
But Black History isn't just a month. It's every single day, 365. Remember that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Vote on the poll. Let us know who you have winning the Super Bowl at the Flex Zone 1, Twitter and Instagram. Flex Zone Podcast on TikTok. FlexZone1 at gmail.com. And of course, the Cash App, the Flex Zone 1. You guys know the drill. A lot of content on the channel. Check it out. We'll get into it as the show goes on. Talking about the Kyrie trade, talking about the Bullies of Baltimore, and that Super Bowl preview and predictions. Who wins MVP? What's the score? Who wins and what are the storylines? As I mentioned, two black quarterbacks headlining a historic Super Bowl 57 and a halftime show that should be pretty lit. But got to give a special shout out on my end today. Actually is my mother's birthday, God's favorite host's mom.
Hey, happy birthday, Mom Dukes.
So if you're in the chat, drop those birthday cake emojis for my mom, the woman who gave me life. Love you, Ma. Appreciate you. Happy birthday and many more. My sisters in the chat. Miss Queen, shout out to you. Our mom's birthday today, so shout out to my mom. Love you. Drop those birthday cake emojis. But you guys know the drill. God's favorite host here, episode 379. Can't do the show alone. Our social media producer, he was live yesterday. Kyrie was traded, not to his Lakers. How you feeling, Big Raj?
Feeling all right, man. I'm glad he wasn't traded to my Lakers. Like I told you yesterday, I didn't really want him. Didn't really care where he went. Everywhere he goes, he's the topic of discussion. So it is what it is. But yeah, man. Happy to be here. Let's get this show started.
This next man, he was on a 3-hour time difference, but he left nobody behind. He is the Commandalorian, the commander himself, fresh from the city of Las Vegas. Sin City, but he's also divine. Crevonte, baby.
Hey, man, listen, man. We leave with 3, we come back with 3. All right. And that's how that sounds like a successful trip to me. I got a couple stories to tell, probably not really for the Flex Zone, but I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys off air. But I do have an interesting story. One story I can tell on the Flex Zone, I'll tell a little bit later when we get into football about my season arrangements. Going to Vegas and coming back from Vegas were both very interesting. But I'll get into it a little bit later. But feels good to be back. I wish I could have streamed it live, but unfortunately, I was in the skies, the great skies that were giving me some bad. No, it wasn't the greatest weather. So I was literally in the air the entire show. So I was like, oh man, I'll catch it. I'll catch it later on. But it's good to see you guys, and it feels good to be back. And I came back, right on time, man. Super Bowl time, and I'll give you my thoughts on the championship games later on. But yeah, feels good to be back, guys. Great show. Hugh Sky. I saw the Hugh sighting.
Yeah. Wow.
I was like, yo, that's crazy. had my man B Waters. Shout out to B Waters. And brother Hugh Scott. I actually watched the entire show, guys. So I was aware of the topic. I was like, oh God, here they go. But it's always interesting the dynamic between you guys, B Waters, and Hugh. Have we ever had Hugh on the show? He's always been in the background, but he's never really been on the show. So that was really, really cool. I was engaged. So I was like, oh, so they had a wrestling show / segment that I stayed awake the whole time. So all right.
Yeah, you might want to keep
Slowly
an eye
can
on
burn
that.
you over.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
They may be selling much like your Dan Snyder, but we'll keep an eye on that real soon. This next man, before Woj, before Sham Sharana, he broke the news about Kyrie getting traded. He is the insider, the dean of Baltimore Hall University, Lamar's agent. Let's get that contract done. Pride of the East Side, Savior Misbehavior, Mr. Morgan State, my brother, the man who will be watching the halftime show with bated eyes, I'm sure. And the man who's going to have the turn up. We'll see where he's watching the Super Bowl at. And fresh from being on another trip, Mr. International, Mr. Worldwide, my brother, the head of the table, the Flex on Messiah, super producer, Drizzy Dre. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, brother? What's going on? Hey, Daria, Paul, Oos, all checking in. Appreciate
Paul,
it.
what's up, baby?
Yo, Paul funny, man.
Yo, no, for real. I've been talking to Paul. He's been hitting me up about what I think about the games pretty much since the college football championship, man.
Look,
And
I told Paul, I told him who I would pick. Look, I said I'm not good with the spread. I'm good with the picks. You're better at the spread. You and Byron, that's y'all thing. I just pick the games. But appreciate everybody for checking in, and we got a lot to get into, like you said. So let's get right to it, gentlemen.
Let's get to it. Let's not waste any time. Thank you, everybody, again, for watching us on this Monday night. Plus, what the hell else were you watching tonight? Come on now. Don't lie.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. Kyrie Irving's traded. Not to the Lakers, not to the Suns, not to the Clippers. The Dallas Mavericks. Dre, I want to start with you. You broke the news. What were your initial thoughts? They get the Mavericks, Kyrie, and Markieff Morris, so another versatile scorer who can shoot. They send Dinwiddie back to Brooklyn, along with Dorian Finney-Smith, first round pick and like 20 whatever, and some other picks and things that probably won't matter right now. Poor KD. Dre, how you feeling about this trade? And does this put the Mavericks possibly over the hump? And the West is pretty wide open.
Hell no, this don't put the Mavericks over the hump. Both teams, I think, if anything, it made Dallas kind of stagnant because what was it last year that Dallas made it to the Western Conference Finals? They're not going to get any further than that if they can make it back there. And for the Brooklyn Nets, you took a huge step back to me because now you went from one of the top teams in the East contending to now you'll make the playoffs, but you'll probably get eliminated like the first round. So I don't know. I think everybody was real shocked that this was a trade to the Mavericks. I don't think that it was a shock that Kyrie Irving was going to get traded. I think that everybody anticipated that he was going to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. It just seemed very fitting. And that's still a possibility because as far as we know, he didn't sign an extension. He just got traded to the Mavericks. But I think for the Dallas Mavericks, it doesn't really help you too much because Luka needs the ball in his hand. But Kyrie Irving, though he'll be a distributor, he'll be a team player when it first starts out. But what really matters at this point in time, because we're inching closer and closer to the All-Star break, and once the All-Star game comes, that's when teams really get into their niche. Now you've traded a player, and it's a whole new team chemistry. That's not going to be enough time to get a good chemistry going. And then Kyrie Irving and Luka's game, I don't think it matches well together. So that's why I said I don't think that this was really a good trade. But I think that for the Dallas Mavericks, is showing Luka that, hey, we're willing to go out and get you some help. So I think that at least on paper and the show face, it shows that, Luka, we got you here, and we're willing to commit to do things in order to help you. As far as the Dallas Mavericks, though, as far as the Brooklyn Nets, blow it up at this point. KD asked for a trade the offseason. Kyrie, we've talked about him asking for a trade for months. And what's sad is that they finally were able to play together, and we were seeing them really match together. And now the whole thing is just blown up. So it was just a bad experiment as far as the Brooklyn Nets with the KD and Kyrie situation. And then, I mean, when you look at the totality of everything that's happened with James Harden being in there, that was supposed to be a big three, and that got wasted very quickly. Then you had, issues with Kyrie Irving and everything that he's done in the off seasons. And then on top of that, of course, Kevin Durant and some of the injuries. It just never panned out to what we thought it was going to be. We thought this was supposed to be a team that would make it to at least the Eastern Conference Finals every year or the Finals, and neither ever happened. It's sad between the two that they only were able to get one playoff victory. So the Brooklyn experiment just failed. And Raj, as far as you saying that Kyrie coming to the Lakers, I thought that would actually been a really good move if Kyrie was able to come to the Lakers, because I think that his game fits better than what Russell Westbrook's game fits with AD and LeBron. I think LeBron, as he's inching closer and closer to the scoring title, when him and Kyrie, when they get together, they know it's magic. Yes, they may have they may have had some issues in the past, but Kyrie, I felt like he's grown up a bit and realizes that he wasn't right with his decision to leave LeBron James. I mean, they made 4 NBA finals together. So they have a good chemistry, and their games just mesh perfect together, especially LeBron at this stage of his career. So I think that there's a chance he could still go to the Lakers in the offseason. But as far as between the Mavericks and the Nets, this just isn't a trade that really benefits either team. But I think that overall, if you had to pick a winner, I'm going to only say the Mavericks because, like I said, at least on paper, it shows, hey, we're willing to do what we need to do in order to get Luka that help that he needs in order to make it to the NBA Finals and possibly try to win him a championship with his greatness.
Real quick, Raj, before you go. Also, didn't Mark Cuban slide Kyrie like a month or two ago when he said the anti-Semitic comments that these guys are fool and now he traded for him? Go ahead, Raj.
I mean, Mark Cuban's he's one of those owners that, he'll probably be able to buff that relationship, but it's just, I just see it working in the end. Go ahead, Raj. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Raj.
I look at it this way. He got traded to the Dallas Mavericks. A lot of people thought he was going to go to the Lakers. Like I said before, I'm glad that he didn't come to the Lakers. I kind of don't want him. I mean, Dre, I hear you. He does add a little bit more scoring, with his Lakers team. But time and time again, I don't think he's reliable, man, especially during this stretch run. I haven't seen him really do anything in the playoffs the last 2 to 3 or 4 years. He's been hurt a lot. And a lot, the past situations that he's been in, the suspension earlier this year and then last year, the COVID situation with the team. It's just a lot of, I don't know, I guess a lot of bad karma that comes with getting Kyrie Irving these days. But, can he help the Mavericks? Sure. I guess it's a good trade for them. It seems like they're desperate at this point, to try to make a run. But be honest with you, their games really don't match. Luka likes to have the ball in his hands, and Kyrie likes to have the ball in his hands. So I don't think it's going to really work. He might get out the first round of the playoffs. They could make it back to the Western Conference Finals. Who knows? But I just think that Brooklyn, at this point, they just said, you know what? We're not going to trade him to the Lakers because we don't want them to have him. So let's just get the best deal that we can possible. And I guess that was the best deal that they came up with. I think Brooklyn jumped the gun, though. I think they should have just kept him because they actually had a championship squad once KD came back. And since that didn't happen, we're never going to see what's going to happen with the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to pretty much, I guess, just fall apart. But I'm also hearing that they might trade KD at this point because he's not very happy right now. And like I said on yesterday's video, I don't feel bad for KD. He should have stayed his behind in Golden State. He had no reason to leave. He was winning championships. Like the last time he played for them, they was in the finals when they was playing Toronto.
Now wait, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
It's not. What's not true?
That he had no reason to leave.
I mean, as far as winning, he had no reason to leave. Now, as far as everything,
for basketball, basketball is not even close.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Basketball,
but with these new cats, feelings and all that get involved, baby.
I know they're sensitive. He should have just worried about winning.
Or just went to the Knicks. Should have went to the Knicks where he was going to go before Kyrie changed his mind to go to Brooklyn.
Either way, like
I
said before,
dumb, blind leading the blind, goofy.
I didn't care for this.
Where the hell are we going?
I didn't care for this trade.
God damn, yo.
I think they jumped the gun. I think they should just kept Kyrie and just let it ride out. If they won, they won. If they didn't, they didn't. But it is what it is. And let's see what happens.
Real quick before you go, Crevonte, Kyrie is threatened to sit out the rest of the season. So you see where his priorities lie. Talk about a knee guy. But the West currently, Denver, I think is going to be number one. We can put them by themselves. But Memphis, Sacramento, Clippers, Suns, Mavericks are sixth, right beneath the Suns and Clippers. So they're only really 2 or 3 games out of 3 from Sacramento. Shout out to Mark. Your Kings looking real good. Told you Keegan Murray was a good pick. But Crevonte, how do you feel, man? They could maybe make a run. I mean, the West is kind of wide open.
So 2 things before I jump into it. I tell you, anytime an organization gets a chance, anytime an organization or a certain person in certain powers get a chance to slight the Lakers, they always do it. It's crazy. They always do it. Like, it's something about the Lakers and this organization that, we're just not going to do it. And 2, it's funny when a number 2 tries to be a number 1 instead of being the number 2 and riding the goddamn wave. Now, don't get it twisted. Kyrie, and I'm talking about Kyrie Irving being number 2. That's the role he's better in, because we saw what he was, and we've seen what he was when he's a number 1. Nothing. It's nothing. He does not move the needle when he is the number 1 guy. There has to be a number 1, a de facto number 1 person in order for Kyrie Irving to thrive. Because before LeBron James went back to Cleveland, what was Cleveland? They were a lottery team. That's just what it is. LeBron James goes back. Now they championship contenders, and now Kyrie can play free because 1, really all the pressure's on LeBron, and 2, you're going to still get the shots you want, you're going to get the shots you need, and you get to make big shots like he did in Game 7 in 2016. But the problem is you can't live on that forever, especially when you leave the person who got you to where to your highest heights. So yeah, there's there's that. I think so. Hey, newsflash, heads up. Dallas Mavericks are goofies of the week, because why the hell? What the hell? What are we doing, bro? Like, Kyrie Irving is untouchable right now. Like, why would you even okay, so in the basketball sense, I get it, because they made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, correct? So you will only think somebody with the superpower of a Kyrie Irving should maybe not put you over the top, but at least give you a better chance moving forward. But not this. That Kyrie Irving is not your average superstar. He's not your regular superstar. He comes with a lot of baggage with him. Like, since 2020, he's been in the news, and most of it hasn't been good. So why would you give up your best wing defender and basically your second best player plus draft picks to the Brooklyn Nets? You bailed Brooklyn out at this point, because Kyrie had already said that Kyrie was threatening to sit out. You know what I'm saying? After they gave whatever the extension, the extension wasn't to his liking. So he said a trade. Like I've never seen anybody ask for a trade and it happened that fast. Never. Like never. It happened in like less than 3 days. And within a week of the deadline, like he asked for a trade on the 2nd and got traded. What, yesterday or today? What was yesterday, right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
He got traded in 3 days. Like how? Kyrie was supposed to be untouchable. The Brooklyn Nets was supposed to be stuck with Kyrie Irving, but here come Dallas. Hey, we'll take on Kyrie Irving and one of the Morris brothers, I believe.
Markieff
Morris. Kyrie, I don't think one thing that's not understood across the board when we're trying to create basketball teams and, you know, move further in the postseason, chemistry is very, very important. Kyrie Irving is not anybody I want to build any type of chemistry with. And I have years upon years upon years of footage that agrees with me, that supports my argument. Kyrie Irving, he's the one that will go off and not talk to nobody for months, and nobody will know why. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll disappear. Like again, I don't know how much PTO they get in the pros, but Kyrie Irving be using it. Kyrie Irving definitely be using all of it too. Hey, Snowman, pause. I was talking. I was listening to Snowman earlier today on the show he was on, and he was talking about this very trade. So shout out to Snowman.
Shout out to the Snowman.
But this
Snowman.
This is beyond goofy because you have to understand the superstars that you have. It's going to be very difficult to bring a superstar and have that superstar find his way under a top 3 superstar in the league right now in Luka. Luka is a savage, is an absolute problem. Unless Kyrie Irving is going to take the role of a James Harden, that's the only way I can see this really happen. Because remember, James Harden was arguably one of the best scorers in the league at one point. But he put on a little weight and he started dishing out the cookies a little bit more instead of just hogging them to himself. You see what I'm saying? All pun intended. Okay? And it seems to be working out for him in that way. I don't think Kyrie has that ability. I truly do not. And I think it's hard enough for him to have to play under Kevin Durant. But I think Kyrie Irving has just squandered most of his career. He played with the 2 best players of our generation. I mean, of not our generation, because our generation is a little bit older, but this generation. And Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And you got 1 championship out of it is pretty unfortunate if you ask me. Now, granted, most of them was Golden State, but for you to not get anything with Kevin Durant is absolutely absurd. And most of it is his own doing. Now, Dallas, I guess is their way of putting all their chips in the middle of the table. I guess their last stitch effort to try to get to a championship. Because I mean, hell, if you're gonna pick a year to do it, this would be the year to do it because the West is absolutely wide open. Who the hell would have thought the Denver Nuggets would be the #1 seed in the West pretty much the entire year? The Sacramento Kings are in what seed?
A 10th seed?
Mike Brown, coach of the year. Mike Brown. We laugh at Mike Brown. He's a hell of a coach.
Oh, they the 3rd seed?
Oh no, he is
They're number 3.
You're right, he's a damn.
They're number 3, Raj. I told Mark. I told Mark when they drafted Keegan Murray. They got Fox. They got Sabonis. They have a squad. They have the right coach, the right mentality from Golden State. Kings are number 3.
The Kings are number 3 seed, yo. The West is open. We could lace them. Hey, y'all, we could go lace them up, yo. We could get the Kings, yo. We could lace them up, yo, and we could get the 5th seed, yo. I mean, at this point.
Hey, the Lakers are 4 games out of like 4th place?
4. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is wide open. So from a basketball perspective, I understand what Dallas did, but diving into it and going below the surface, this is dumb. This is absolutely dumb. And for all this, y'all should have kept Brunson. For real. Like, y'all shouldn't have let him walk. Because Kyrie, like, there's no way you're keeping Kyrie long term. Because he doesn't get that's a standing. Yup, there they go.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Yikes. So yeah, man. I think it's very, very, very goofy. But it's no way. Like, the Nets won this trade. Even with them blowing it up, the Nets won this trade because I think the Dallas Mavericks hit their ceiling last year.
Does KD get traded? Just a yes or no, and anybody can jump in.
Yes.
It looks like it.
in the off season, I don't see it before the trade deadline.
Oh no, the trade deadline is like tomorrow, so probably not. But
it's Thursday. They got time. They're trying to trade him to Boston for Jaylen Brown. Why? I don't know. I would not trade Jaylen Brown.
Oh hell no!
Did we learn not to break up Tatum and Brown? They can play together.
That is stupid. If they trade Kevin Durant for Jaylen Brown,
I wouldn't.
They got two. They literally have 2 top 10 players possibly in the NBA.
Yo,
JT top 5
balling and they young. Why mess that up?
I never was on a belief of they should be broken up. I just thought they needed time. They got it together, and you see now. So we'll see what happens. Let us know your thoughts on the Kyrie Irving.
You're right, Paul. You're right, Paul. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So let us know your thoughts on the West. Like I said, Mike Brown for Coach of the Year right now. He gets my vote. Kings at number 3. And we'll see what happens. Long way to go as the NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's get to some real quick WNBA news as we had a Kevin Durant-like signing in New York. Breanna Stewart joining the New York Liberty, Dre. I know you had broke this news a few days back. The 4-time national champion, 3-time All-Star, WNBA champion.
That girl right there.
Played with Sue Bird, number 1 overall pick, as you guys know. It was between Seattle and New York. She's going to the Big Apple, Dre.
I mean, I think that this is huge news as far as the WNBA. We've seen a lot of signings this WNBA.
Listen, bro, I was in Vegas when I got the news about Candace Parker.
So I'm just like,
yes, Candace Parker going from her hometown Chicago Sky, who she won a championship with, going to the Vegas Aces, defending champions with Becky Hammond, the coach.
Yes. And that was crazy because that was her first year coaching, and she won a championship. So it's been a lot of this WNBA season is like what the NBA used to be, as far as people just moving all over, as far as free agency. But I mean, this is just another piece to that puzzle with Breanna Stewart, and I think that it'll be a very interesting WNBA season. To see if the Aces can repeat. This is like a super team that Breanna Stewart is bringing over there with the Liberty, and she's a New York native. So I think that I'm very excited to see what happens in this WNBA season. And Paul, we talking about the dub, man. So where you at, man? But yeah, as far as as far as this WNBA season, it's been. With the moving pieces that have been going around, you can't really definitively say who's going to win the championship this year. We'll see, but I think it's kind of open. Like we talk about the West being open in the NBA, the WNBA is open. We'll see who prevails in the end, but there's no clear cut winner because of the many moving parts that have happened. You could say the Liberty, you could say the Aces are going to repeat. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Crevonte?
Yeah, this is really, really, really huge, and I think it's back to like the like it reminds me of West Coast thing. Seems like when a prominent West team makes a big move, a prominent team in the East do it to try to to stay on pace, and I think this is one of those moves. These are probably some of the Liberty and the Aces are probably two of the top teams in all of WNBA right now. And I just think, and I think everybody's understanding that just like the NBA, the WNBA is just about star power. you gotta have it. You absolutely gotta have it. And if you could put a group of ladies together, you could get something like the New York Liberty and the Vegas Aces. And as long as I've been watching WNBA basketball, which since pretty much the beginning, because when the WNBA was first came about, the Mystics had a team, so they played in the same places with. So I've been watching, WNBA basketball since its inception, and my gosh, what it's grown into now is absolutely amazing. But just like basketball, just like the how the men do it, star power. The ladies got just as much star power, and these ladies are definitely moving the needle. And Breonna Stewart, that's a bad girl, man. That's a bad girl, man.
She is a bad.
Rod, you watching, or you just want to see what happens with Brittany Griner?
We can move on. I mean, congrats to her. Congrats to her. I don't have nothing for it. I know no shade. I just don't got nothing for it. So we can keep the conversation moving.
Well, as Rod said, let's keep it moving. Last night there was a 30 for 30, and it highlighted the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. The Bullies of Baltimore debuted last night on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and all those avenues. We had Ray Lewis, Trent Dilfer, Rod Woodson, Shannon Sharp, Tony Saragusa, rest in peace, the late great Tony Saragusa, Jamal Lewis, Brian Billick, head coach, Marvin Lewis, Jack Del Rio, Crevonte's goofy commander, coach. We had all of those things. You heard that Crevonte, goofy commander's coach, Jack Del Rio, still there, by the way. We had, yes, he got goofy after he left Baltimore. But anyway, Bullies of Baltimore debut last night. Raj, I'm gonna start with you. Had Kevin Byrne. They dug him out the grave, rolled him up there for the ceremony. Raj, how you feeling, brother? Scott Garceau was there. I'm like, damn, y'all can't get nobody under 70 years old to host these things. I'm just saying, but It is what it is. You know how that go. Raj, did you enjoy the documentary? Did it take you back to the 2000 years, the heyday of the Ravens, the glory days? And actually, last week we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the 2012 team. So some great times, great memories in Baltimore sports. Your thoughts on the documentary last night?
Man, did it take me back, man? It took me all the way back. Just like Raw is taking me back with Leader right now. But anyway, that's something totally different.
Oh joy.
Yeah, Joy with Edge and his wife. Oh no, I'm sorry. That took me back to 2000.
Leaders out there with Edge. We going back like that? We doing the live celebration?
No.
I was about to say, I'm about to turn around.
Edge was on earlier with his wife.
Leader looks great, by the way. Shout out to
with his wife. Okay, we're not gonna go there. We're not doing that because that was 22 years ago. But like the Ravens, so let's back to the Ravens. This was a phenomenal documentary, man. I thought the documentary was great. I enjoyed listening to Brian Billick. I forgot how funny he was. I mean, it took me back down memory lane. Brian is a character for real. As a head coach, he was okay, but as a leader of men, he was great. And the way he stood up for Ray Lewis back then, it just made me appreciate him even more as a head coach. So I thought that, learning about him was great. I thought, Ray Lewis being Ray Lewis, of course, being the stoic leader that he was and leading his team and, being that guy that everybody looked up to, even though he was going through a turbulent time in his life as well, coming off of that case in Atlanta. I thought his role in the documentary was great. Shannon Sharp, I mean, Uncle Shay has always been the way he's been his whole entire career. So coming over to the Ravens, watching old footage of him being funny is hilarious, man. He's the same way he is then as he is now. And he was a phenomenal football player for this team. So I thought he did a great job. But the person that completely stole the show for me was the Goose, man. R.I.P. Rest in
Yeah.
peace to Tony Saragusa. My God, man, I did not know he was that funny. I didn't know he was that funny on camera for real. When I was about maybe 13 or 12 or 13 years old when
Stop lying.
shut
Okay.
up. I was
Stop
12 or
lying.
13 years old when I really started watching football, and
12
I
or
didn't really
13 plus
understand
12 or
that.
13
Shut
plus
up.
12 or 13.
I didn't understand the importance of or how funny he really was back then because I was just learning the game. But my goodness, man, now I appreciate him more now than I did back when he played for the Ravens and when he was on Fox. He just had a lot of stories, man, and I think the one with the Raiders when I think Al Davis gave him a contract,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then he was like they agreed to a certain percentage of money, and then the next day he asked for the contract, and then Al said, you know what, I think I'm gonna lower it about 50,000.
Yo, he that was yesterday's price. Is not
It's
today's
not
price.
today's
Price.
Way back
price.
then.
Right. So he got his revenge, at the AFC Championship game, and he told Al to shove that thing up his what.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I just thought that they did a great job. ESPN did a great job. I wish the Ravens were like this today. They centered their whole team on defense, and offense back then was putrid. I mean that's the word for it. I think they went with 5 straight games without a touchdown.
Oh my
To,
gosh.
to
Yeah.
the point where they had somebody on the roof
Yeah. The
who
dude on the
stayed
roof.
on
The
the roof.
goof on the roof.
The
I had to bring that
goof
back.
on the
On the
roof.
roof.
You know I
Crevonte
like
had to bring
that.
that back.
You know I like that.
Look,
He was
they
on
even rolled his ass out there, Raj. He was
Yep,
there.
sure did.
yeah.
And he real. Oh, you talking about over 70, Byron?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like he was about 85, but it was it was beautiful to watch, man, because all the goofiness that's going on with this team right now is ridiculous at this point. So I was glad to see that the 2000 Ravens were celebrated the correct and right way, and I was glad that a lot of the special people that was on this team got the shine that they deserved. The only thing that I wish they would have had was maybe a little bit of Quadri Ismail, maybe a little bit
Mm.
of Priest Holmes, because Priest Holmes was a part of that squad as well, and he was balling too. Chris McAllister, C-Mac could have been on stage. That was one of my favorite Ravens, and he was I think that was his second year in the league. He was balling out, and maybe a couple other players. But other than that, they had the superstars, the Rod Woodsons, the Tony Sargusas, the Ray Lewises, Shannon Sharp, Brian Billick. They was out there. So they did a great job, man. Shout out to ESPN again.
No, I think they had the right people out there, man.
No, they had the guys with personality. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they had the right people out there, but I wanted a little bit more. That's just me. That's just me.
Man, I enjoyed the documentary. I mean, the 30 for 30s, they just don't seem to miss, man. Clearly they've done this documentary before with NFL Network's America's Game. So, I mean, I would tell people check those out because every season after the Super Bowl, the NFL does a documentary called America's Game for that particular team of that particular season who won the Super Bowl. So I would check those documentaries out as well. But as far as the 30 for 30, Raj did a really good job, and so did Byron. Being in chronological order about some of the things that transpired, like the goof on the roof, Tony Saragusa. I didn't, and I mean, and this was sad on my part. I didn't realize that the Ravens were the very first team to be on Hard Knocks, because it's been out, for quite some time. But I didn't realize that we were the trailblazers as far as that, and it made just so much sense with that team. I mean, like you said, Shannon Sharp on the offensive side, and then Tony Saragusa on the defensive side. Ray Lewis with his personality, and like you said, I mean, that was a throwback with some of those people that they had. I liked it that they went through Trent Dilfer. Hats off to him, because I know for years he had been bitter about what happened, as he should be. To this date, I still can't think of a quarterback who has led his team to an NFL championship and then got released. Even with the Eagles and Nick Foles, they didn't release Nick Foles. They kept Nick Foles, and they still had Carson Wentz. So
I think they did. I think actually the Redskins didn't do right by Doug Williams after they won the championship. If I'm not mistaken, I gotta look that up. But it wasn't all happy days for him after being the first black quarterback to win a championship.
I bet. I mean, but Crevonte, is that really expected though?
You're right. Fair enough.
So, I mean, this is, the white man for the job, and I mean, and how in the hell do you? Sometimes in sports, man, the way these cats find out things is just like really, like the timing is just so messed up. This man up there about to present us, and then finds out, yeah, you're not going to be the starting quarterback no more. Like, what? I mean, and when you go through the documentary of how Banks was the starter, and then they put Trent Dilfer, and he got them over the hump, and to not give him another opportunity because they wanted to give it to Elvis Gerback, it was like, come on, man, are you kidding me right now?
But you know what? To play devil's advocate, Elvis Gerback did have a good 2 years with Kansas City. I mean, he came off of going to the Pro Bowl in 2000. He had 28 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So he wasn't a slouch. He wasn't terrible. Yeah. But he just wasn't the right fit for that team because they didn't have the wide receivers to throw the football.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I would have just ran it back. Like you said, Trent Dilfer was just the right guy. But it also shows how history repeats itself, because the Ravens apparently have never had the guy. So until we've got Lamar Jackson in there, but now it shows that we still didn't have the wide receivers back then. We don't have the wide receivers now. But for some reason, the Ravens can get the run game and the tight end game right. They just can't get that wide receiver position correct. I would have loved to see Jermaine Lewis. That's one person I wish could have.
Speaking of that, I met Jermaine Lewis week 1 of this year's season.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I met him at Dave and Buster's. He was out there, just passing out stuff. But speaking of that, I'm glad you said that, man. With the wide receivers not having them back then and to having them now, it is a great correlation, man, of the play style back then. Mm-hmm. You can get away with a lot of things on defense, and the defense made up for a lot of stuff. Like back then, you didn't need a superstar quarterback to win a championship. You could have your average Trent Dilfer just go out there and manage the game, and you can be in it and you can win. In today's league, you can barely touch a defender, you can barely touch a wide receiver. You got to allow them to get off the line of scrimmage. I mean, there's a bunch of rule changes that the league made because of certain things. But this is exactly why we got to pay our quarterback and stuff like that. But it's just the subtle changes over the 22 years that they won that first championship till now that I noticed, and I was like, you know what? I don't think that. Of course, that defense couldn't do what they did today. Do what they did back then today. Hell,
they were destroying cats back then.
It would be a bunch of.
And one thing that I saw in the documentary, I thought that stood out, was that Phil Simms and Tony Saragusa back and forth, because when he said he didn't want to sit down with him for the production meeting, he said that he was more paler than what he normally is. I thought that joint was hilarious. And it shows also, too, how you forgot that Phil Simms was both an analyst and a commentator for CBS at one point in time. Now he's just commentating for the pregame show. And then, of course, you can catch him on Showtime on the NFL. So I thought that was Really, really funny. Of course, they put in Ray Lewis's trial, but I like how they, like you said, it showed um, how Brian Billick was actually a good coach. Because sometimes we'd be like Brian Billick, but he did win us a championship. He was good for that squad after all. But I think that his thing was, I think Brian Billick now, him coming to the Ravens would be good because he was an offensive coach. Um,
Was he
but
though? Was he? Was he really?
I'm saying I think today's NFL he would have been better than back then, only because, like I said, the league is just so more offensively set now, and the people who are winning are offensively minded people. So I think that's the only reason I say I think that he would have fit better in today's game had he came over as the head coach. Um, but I mean, he still did a good job. I mean, Isaac Newsom, he was there. I mean, um, I think that they did a really good. I mean, it shows the same things the Ravens were doing back then. Like I said, running the football, good defense. All that stuff still applies now. But I think you have just a greater appreciation because also one thing I liked about the documentary too is that they showed um, the funeral about Tony Saragusa and the careness and the fact that this is a real team and that this squad is like a family. So it went through them. I mean, it was good. It was real good to see Rod Woodson out there too. I thought it was real good that I just wish that they. Two other points before I close. That I thought it was real good that they did have Jack Del Rio and Marvin Lewis out there. However, I wish that they would have had more talking than. Well, defensively, I can't take that away. He is a good defensive coach.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I just wish that they had more talking for them. And then the last point I want to make is, did any of y'all know about this special taping? Because it baffled my mind that none of us knew about this. Like I was like, they filmed this just last year, and I was like, how didn't any of us know about this? Because I definitely would have loved to have been in attendance for this event, but
Okay. Yeah. Word. They was right down. They was right down. Yeah. Like the mile hall.
I just like that one snuck under, and it's not only me. I checked in with a couple people. I'm like, how didn't any of us know about that? So
And it's crazy because it was packed. It was packed in there too.
that seems like an invite only type of event. That's what it had to have been.
Yeah,
Because there's just no way.
It's probably invite only. But one more thing before you go, Crevonte. You know what? I didn't in that Tennessee game, man. That Greg Williams, man.
Hey,
Yo, it's only fitting, right? Isn't that foreshadowing for some stuff?
Yes, it is.
and the fact that
that was flat out cheating. Okay,
Come on, bro.
Called cheating.
Come on, bro.
He stole the playbook. I was like, really,
bro? But that was the beginning. That was only the beginning.
and one thing, Raj. I mean, it took me back to we've been a rival with Tennessee for years,
forever.
I mean, I know that the divisions are different, but I was like, wow, we really did go at it with Eddie George and Steve McNair. Like they really did have something going on with Tennessee. That was like, wow, yeah, that took, like you said, took you back.
Hey, everybody turn your camera off. Turn the camera. Turn the damn cameras off. Turn the cameras off. Turn the cameras off. Turn your camera off, Byron. Real quick.
Uh-oh.
I just want to say, have those Titans. All right, they turn back on.
Oh,
Yeah, that part
was so
about
funny in
the
that
part about
documentary.
the playbook. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That was.
But that's right up. But yo, that's right up. Yo, so I'm sorry, Dre, were you done?
Oh, I was I was going to also say that it was funny to me that every game the Ravens were not picked. Like every game, and they kept thinking that it was going to be a close game. and they were just blowing them boys out the water, just like dominating them. And like I remember when Rich Gannon got knocked out the game, and Tony Saragusa said, "My wife can handle it once a week. Why can't you?" Man, I mean that you just don't get that nowadays, man. Wow, that was like you said, a team full of personalities, and I think that the only other like 30 for 30 that could even be somewhere close to that to me, and they may not get to this until years after Russell retires, is the Legion of Boom, because you just don't get that a team of characters like that on defense.
There was some personalities over there. For sure.
Yeah, Crevonte, fun fact, the Redskins beat the Ravens that year 10-9, and that was the enema story where Saragusa had to get an enema, and they had on the all-white.
Yes. That was,
So.
oh man, that was funny too. He went through it. Tony just like dominated that thing, but it was just funny. Like it just, you just didn't mind it. Because he would laugh the entire time. He was doing his antics, even when he would pick on Shannon Sharp.
I need the uncensored version of this damn documentary. That's what I need.
Oh, and then
it's on ESPN Plus, Raj. Get that ESPN Plus.
What was the guy they brought out? He made fun of Shannon Sharp.
And the linebacker.
Tim Johnson, the linebacker.
Yo, he was accurate.
He hit it on the nose, bro. It was scary, yo. Reparations.
Restitution.
Yeah, that boy was good. That boy was good. I think Brian Billick. So in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about head coaches, Brian Billick usually does not get mentioned, but he was a leader of men, and that is a characteristic that you need as a head coach above, X's and O's. You need to be able to lead grown men, and these grown men who are making a lot of money. Well, maybe not at that time, but who's making a significant amount of money, who can do whatever the hell they want to do, but they to be able to follow your lead. And he had Ray Lewis on the team too. So if you get Ray Lewis to follow you, you got the team pretty much. So Brian Billick deserves a shit ton of credit for what he did with his team, and also getting out of his own head, because like you said, Dre, he would be perfect, but his concepts would be perfect for today's NFL. But in 2000, wasn't nobody ready, wasn't nobody really slinging the ball like that for real. And he changed it. He changed it. I don't think enough coaches do that. Stick to what your personnel can do, not what you just trying to push, onto them. Realize it's not working and see what does. Offense, and one thing, the offense, I don't think the offensive lines really got enough credit for but on that Ravens team for getting Jamal Lewis, goddamn, running absolutely wild out there.
Nearly 1,400 in his rookie year. I was like,
whoa, that's big. Shout out to the offensive line, getting that done, opening them holes for Jamal Lewis. But Brian deserves a lot of credit for changing. A lot of coaches don't like changing up what they do, but and this is coaching in any sport. You got to stick to what your personnel what your personnel is. Fit what they do well and do that, because that's how you're gonna get the most out of your players and out of your team. And it ended up being a Super Bowl. I think Shannon Sharp and Goose, my heavens. I could not imagine that locker room week in and week out. I could not. Absolutely not. Like Goose on defense, Shannon Sharp on offense, just talking junk. Just junk. Just talking all types of junk. And I be on the floor crying, laughing at these boys. Like, if just in this documentary, I was laughing. So I couldn't imagine if we could have done a week by week, win or loss, a week by week throughout that whole 16 for the season and those 3 games for the Super Bowl. I couldn't imagine getting footed, that type of footed in the locker room, because, and I think Shannon Sharp brought he brought a different type of not different, but he brought the right kind of toughness to the offense, which the Ravens was already built on defense. He brought that to the offensive side of the ball, which probably gave them the kick or so that they needed. And because even when they wouldn't score touchdowns, he was still out there talking his stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think that type of personality, his type of personality, fit perfect.
Oh yeah,
for the Ravens. So he fit right in. And Goose locking them boards in their trailers was hilarious.
Man.
Absolutely loved it. Loved all their personalities. I'm so glad it did not turn into, and this is what I was fearful of, is that it turned into a Ray Lewis show. I'm glad that did not. We all know what Ray Lewis was and what he meant to the Baltimore Ravens franchise. It was the team, and even when he's going through a situation, talked about it, left it. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't, keep it going and going and going. Shout out to Rod Wilson. Rod Wilson's one of my favorite DB/safeties of all time. And my God, you could tell he was one of the elder statesmen, because his heydays with the Steelers. But he brought the veteran, to the team, and just keeping everybody in line, but just watching the kids grow, because he's the old man. Just sitting there and watching the kids, really watching the kids, because even Ray Lewis was young at the time. You know what I'm saying? And just watching them grow, but still leading by example, which was important, for that defense. They had elite guys at each level, man. It's scary how elite they were. Like, shout out to Sam Smith and Goose being on the inside of the interior of the D line.
You mean Sam Adams?
I mean Sam Adams, right?
Yeah.
Huge guys. Big up to Trent Dilfer getting thrown into a spot, because the brother Banks
Tony Banks.
was not doing well, and I was
like,
and terrible. Like, and wasn't that the first Tennessee game where he got was that the Tennessee game where he got benched? He threw a number of picks. I was like, "Ooh, defense gonna kill him." The defense gonna kill him when he gets to the locker room. I was like, "Oh boy!" But Trent Dilfer comes right in, and he absolutely takes them where they needed to go. It's not always about, it wasn't about talent, because Trent Dilfer wasn't a great quarterback. He didn't have a great track record or any of that, but he was what that team needed moving forward. And finally got the touchdown monkey off their back to Brandon Stokely. I didn't know Brandon Stokely was on his team.
Yeah.
Like God damn. I was like, okay. And Trent Dilfer doesn't get the respect necessarily that he deserves. But I think what's important is that team of that year knew what he meant to them, because it's funny. It's funny saying this. They wouldn't have won a Super Bowl without Trent Dilfer.
No, that's totally
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to say now, but that's a fact. That's what it was. Yes, that defense is arguably the greatest defense of all time. I mean, giving up 165 points for the entire year is absolutely absurd. Just absolutely absurd.
Look, all you gotta do is look at that Tennessee game when they were down because of his mistake, and then he was able to bounce back and win the game for them.
And I think that was the turning point. I mean, we could have picked many different points where it's like, yeah, this team is special. I think for Trent Dilfer, for him personally, that did it for him. Like, oh, I could do this for real. Because that game was supposed to be over. He made the grave mistake on giving up a pick six, but going right down there and throwing the winning touchdown was like, that gave him the confidence he needed, but then that also gave the defense like, all right, we could follow him. Because even though he made a mistake, he came back. He came back from it. That's a short-term memory. And as a quarterback, you need that. But the defense really got behind him after that. And then they was like, yo, we know we're gonna see Tennessee again at some point, because Tennessee was arguably the best team. Was the best team in the league, yes. That year, quote unquote. Say that's what the magazine said.
Sports Illustrated, yeah.
That Sports Illustrated, yeah. That Brian Billick and the older white gentleman brought to Brian Billick's attention, which also was get the boys riled up. They say it's the best team. Not today. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. That's big time. And I think in football, that's what it's about. The better team doesn't always win. You just got to be better for about 3 hours, for 4 quarters in about 3 hours. And that's what they did. And they beat them again. So, I loved it. And similar to Roger, that's around the time where I started watching football. You know what I'm saying? Like the 2000 Ravens was, I think, either my first or second Super Bowl that I'd seen. And it was a demolition. And funny, even though Jack Del Rio and Marvin Lewis didn't say much, they did say something about the Super Bowl. It was like once they saw that, I believe they kicked the Vikings ass. Like it was 41-0. It was they destroyed the Vikings in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
And Marvin Lewis and Jack Del Rio was like, we gonna kill him. Like, we gonna kill him. And for sure, that's exactly what they did. The Giants ain't know what they was in for. So it's only right that it ended that way. Them bullying the Giants up and down the field, and almost had a shutout. Almost. The defense had a shutout.
And that's
the
crazy.
Defense had a shutout.
Yeah,
but
the special teams. Let me chime in real quick before we move on. Art Modell, the fact that they said has not been elected to the Hall of Fame is just absolutely absurd. Because like they said, I mean, now you got a lot of teams that have moved from one state to another state, or one city to another city. So Art Modell, again, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And overall, a great documentary. And let me say this also, because I know a lot of people, you had the Grammys going on, but that documentary was delayed by 30 minutes because of that Knicks 76ers game, which actually wasn't a bad game. Like, that was actually like, whoa, Philly may have a chance to win this, but then, the Knicks pulled it out. But that documentary got delayed by 30 minutes. So I think what did help it, though, is the fact that it eliminated a lot of those commercials that we would have normally seen. So we got to see more of the actual documentary and then less commercials. So that's one thing I did like. That even though the game went a little over, it was still good that did happen. And again, these 30 for 30s, they just don't seem to miss.
ESPN getting something right.
Yeah, the fact that they keep getting these 30 for 30s, I'm curious about what even the next one will be. But I mean, look, I just gave you an idea, ESPN, about a future 30 for 30. But overall, like I said, I think that they did a really, really
do you think they would do that with Russ and Pete Carroll?
They would have. I think eventually they have to. I don't think that Russ and Pete Carroll really have an issue.
No, I'm talking about it wasn't Russ and Pete Carroll. And Russ was on the same side. It's the Legion and Boom versus them.
Yeah, you know what? It would probably take some time, but I could see them maybe they don't have to do a whole sit down. together like they did the Ravens, because the Ravens just are a family organization.
Yeah.
But I could see them doing a 30 for 30 eventually. It would be interesting because if you would have to put Pete Carroll, Russ, of course. Marshawn gotta be in there. There's no way you do that without Marshawn.
He's the opening scene. Marshall Lynch is the opening scene.
You have what? Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, and
Earl Thomas.
Those are the guys right there. You have
No.
Bobby Wagner. You gotta put
the lineman, the edge rusher. That has a Bennett, Michael Bennett.
Oh, okay.
Michael Bennett was a personality too.
So those are the people I think that you those are the people I think you have to put in that if they were to do it. But as far as the Ravens, I think you got everybody that you really could put in there. Because I was a little shocked that Jamal Lewis came back, because I know they've had some issues with Jamal in the past. Trent Dilfer, for him to sit down, because like he said, he just really recently got over that bitterness, and he had a legit gripe because of what happened. But like I said, I mean, overall, you could just see that that's still like a family organization, and it shows you how well run the Ravens organization is in order for that to happen in Baltimore. Everybody be collective, and then them to show that a number of the guys went to Tony's funeral as well. So hats off to the documentary, hats off to the Ravens organization, and I would encourage everybody to really check that out. ESPN, hats off to you for another good documentary.
Real quick, that Super Bowl, Giants, punt, interception, punt, end of game. Also, in 2001, they had a chance to repeat. Don't forget, Jamal Lewis also tore his ACL in training camp. Now, looking at this roster, I know they said the offense didn't have anybody, but you had Trent Dilfer, you had Jamal Lewis, rushed for over 1,300 yards. The missile, Quadri Ismail, 655 yards, 5 touchdowns. You had Travis Taylor. He had 3 touchdowns. Shannon Sharp, of course. Jonathan Alden, Edwin Muatalo on the left side of the line. Crevonte, as you mentioned as well. Brandon Stokely. Defensively, Rob Burnett led his team in sacks, 10.5. Sam Adams, Goose, Michael McCoy, 6.5 sacks. Peter Boulware, we forget how good he was, 7 sacks. Ray Lewis had 3 sacks. You know what he did. Jamie Sharper, Dwayne Starks, and Chris McAllister, maybe one of the best cornerback duos nobody ever talks about. Dwayne Starks, 6 picks. C-Mac, 4 picks. Kim Herring, 3 picks. And Rod Woodson with 4 picks as well. So a lot of all-time greats on that defense, especially that may not have been talked about as well yesterday. But let us know your thoughts on the 30 for 30. Bullies of Baltimore, available on ESPN. And Raj, the one with cussing, is on ESPN Plus. Real quick before we get to the Super Bowl talk, which will take most of the time that we have left, any thoughts on the Pro Bowl format? Liked it, hated it?
I would just say this: it was terrible. I ain't gonna say. Well, let me not say it was terrible. It was different. It was safer, and I guess they'll tweak it, going forward to make it, I guess, more entertaining. But I mean, it is what it is. The Pro Bowl games.
That's the new. That might be the new wave, Raj. Flag football now.
It's foreshadowing of the actual football that's being played. So
please don't say
I like the aspect of it being safer. And they are getting more creative with different games, and I saw Terry McLaurin participating in when they catch like water balloon? I think they were trying to catch or whatever. Dodgeball, that stuff is fun. The 7-on-7, entertainment. We get to see the Diggs brothers go at it. That sort of thing is fun, but it's gonna take some time to get. I would say used to, but we really don't care. Because I tell you, once upon a time, I don't know about y'all, but I used to watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I used to too. Yeah.
Like the Pro Bowl used to come on after the Super Bowl, and they used to still get ratings.
They need to go back to that.
Because it's like the Super Bowl happened. It's like fuck, the Super Bowl, the season's over. It's like, oh no, wait, one more.
And then the players that play in the Super Bowl will still play.
Right, and they would still play. Exactly.
You had the
Late
great Sean Taylor laying people out. Crevonte, remember?
Oh my gosh, like it was because Sean Taylor played 1,000 miles per hour. I don't care what game, what game he was they was playing. But yeah, man. But those days are sadly over. They're taking the pads off. Injuries to try to prevent injuries, and hell, Myles Garrett still got hurt. The hell, what the hell? I think he's injured his toe or something. But
he don't take plays off either. He goes hard every play too. Myles Garrett, that's his problem, I guess.
But I'm cool. I'm cool where it's going. I still don't care for the Pro Bowl as a whole, but the certain passing precision contests, wide receiver things, just something more for our star fun receivers to brag about, and our other players who actually participate. Now that's another thing. If you opting out like Joe Burrow and all them was like, nah, we cool. And Josh Allen, I believe, got hurt. And Herbert, Josh Allen were hurt, and Joe Burrow opted out. So shoot, they had to drag. They had to get Tyler Huntley got him in. I was like, wow. But it is what it is. I'm not going to watch any more than I did this past Pro Bowl, which wasn't much.
Agree. But I mean, at least I have to give the NFL credit for at least trying.
Let's get into the Super Bowl. Lord, Big Roger.
Take that off of him.
Oh God.
Let's get to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of storylines in the Super Bowl. I want to get to those before I let you guys make your picks and give us your MVP. We got the two top teams in the NFL, two number one seeds, Chiefs, Eagles. Andy Reid coaching against his former team, the Eagles. Andy Reid going for a second Super Bowl ring. Nick Sirianni, first trip to the Super Bowl. Eagles looking for their second Vince Lombardi Trophy, third Super Bowl trip. Lost to the Patriots in the other. Got the Kelsey brothers. First ever Super Bowl with two brothers. We have the first ever Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks starting in Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. We also have the number one pass offense, the Chiefs, against the number one pass defense of the Eagles. Neither team, keep this in mind, has trailed this postseason. We know the Eagles been running through everybody, and we know the Chiefs, you could be up by 50. They still come back somehow, some way, Mahomes on one leg. Also, Andy Reid is 3-0 versus the Eagles as Kansas City coach. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Got Rihanna performing. I think those are the main things right there. And also, MVP.
I remember one.
Go ahead.
Andy Reid is still the winningest coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. And if he wins this Super Bowl as the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach, I think he will be the winningest head coach for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And the Eagles lead the league in rushing. No team has won the Super Bowl leading the league in rushing since 1998. I saw that stat. Thought it was crazy. Mahomes, the only player since Brady to go to 3 Super Bowls in his first 6 seasons. And last but not least, no MVP has won the Super Bowl because it's either going to be Mahomes or Hurts since 1999, Kurt Warner. So with all that being said, Crevonte, you want to start first? Who you rolling with?
Come on now.
Are you taking the spread? You going with the over? And who's your MVP, brother?
Anytime the Chiefs are underdogs, I always take it. But it's so close. It may end up being a pick 'em at the end of the day, because I think it's only like a 1.5 point spread for the Eagles. Eagles slight favorites. But anytime Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are underdogs, I'll take them on a point spread. But I also take the money line too, because I do think they'll win. Listen, man, Patrick Mahomes has been doing nothing but defying the odds the entire season. No Tyreek Hill. Everybody was saying, "Oh my gosh, he lost a top 5, top 3 receiver And what is Kansas City Chiefs going to do? Continue to win. No Tyreek Hill, no problem. Everybody in the AFC West made changes, big changes. Ooh, Russell Wilson, let's ride. And with the Broncos, Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson go to the Chargers. And what's the other damn team? The Raiders. Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders. Nothing. It doesn't matter because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they still pretty much ran away with the division, like they done, in previous years. And Patrick Mahomes has just found ways to continue to win. And also having that security blanket and Travis Kelce does help. But my gosh, he's had a revolving door of wide receivers, and it's gonna be. And I just hope they just stay healthy at this point, because I hate to see what happened, when they played Brady in 2020, where his lineman went down. Now it's like his receivers are up in the air. So I'm just hoping he has a consistent group of guys out there that can remain healthy, so they could be able to thrive. But we know Patrick Mahomes, he gonna ball out, and he's gonna give it an absolute MVP performance like he's been doing the entire year. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs money line and the spread and money line, which is not much different odds, because like I say, it's a 1.5. I think I saw earlier today, I think the Eagles are favored by 1.5, which is basically saying if I'm giving them a 1.5, you basically taking the money line.
Go ahead, Raj.
All right. Let me just say this. I know we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs and the greatness of Patrick Mahomes and the greatness of Andy Reid. I just want to say, Tyreek Hill was a big part of that team. He did help put Patrick over the hump at times, but Patrick is very capable of making receivers better than what they are. I mean, case in point, Juju Smith-Schuster comes over from free agency. He's a pretty good wide receiver. With Patrick Mahomes, he's great. Marquez Scantling Valdez or whatever.
Scantling.
Yeah. He was an average receiver in with the Packers, but with Patrick Mahomes, he makes him look great. Mecole Hardman, although he's not going to be playing in the Super Bowl, he's always been a big target for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially when he played the Ravens. He would always burn us for some odd reason. And Travis Kelce is a constant professional who's always been there and always probably still is the number one tight end in all of football. I say that to say this. It don't matter who you put around Patrick Mahomes. He is the quintessential best player in the NFL, bar none. But you know what? I'm not going with him in the Super Bowl. And the only reason I'm not going to go with him is not because of the injuries, not because of, the lack of coaching or anything like that. I just think that this Eagles team is destined to win again. I see something in their eyes. I see something in that team philosophy. And it's just the way that they play football. They have everything that I wish the Ravens would. Everything. The Ravens have a great defense. Eagles have a great defense. The Eagles have a great quarterback. The Ravens have a great quarterback. The special teams. The Eagles have a great special teams. The Ravens have a great special teams. The only thing that's missing are the wide receivers. And the Eagles have the wide receivers that I wish the Ravens would have, man. And with that said, I think that their wide receivers are going to eat. I think they're going to eat on the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I just think that A.J. Brown is destined to have a big game. And I think that Devonta Smith is going to have a great game as well. So I think that's the difference. I think Jalen's going to have a phenomenal game as well. He has not made too many mistakes either. And I know I said that they had an easy road of getting there. They did have an easy road of getting to the Super Bowl.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did, because the Giants was I mean, come on now. That wasn't even a damn game. And on top of that, Brock Purdy got hurt in the first quarter, and he was taken out, and then they destroyed the backup quarterback. So they couldn't even throw the football. So it was just like, come on now. But I think they're the better squad. They've been the better squad all year. Honestly, they've been the best team in football. So I just think as a team effort, they're going to find a way to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all if that guy Patrick Mahomes finds a way, just like he did against the Bengals, to win the Super Bowl. But my pick, and it's gonna be by a slim margin, but it's gonna be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they win Super Bowl 57, and I think Jalen Hurts, I think he's gonna do a phenomenal job managing the game, because that's what he's been doing the whole season, was managing the game, getting everybody involved, getting his running game going, doing everything the right, correct way.
Crevonte, you said that you're picking the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with Raj. I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll just be honest. I told you I just want to go to Philly. That's. But honestly, they feel. This Eagles team, seriously though, they just felt different. I mean, even in the off season when we were talking about the Cowboys and the moves that the Giants were making, but this Eagles team just felt different, similar to Lamar Jackson. I mean, Jalen Hurts was counted out, but he came back this offseason and he put in the work. The Eagles have put the wide receivers around him, and I mean, between running the football and that defense, they've been able to get it done. So we'll see when it comes to the Super Bowl, but I just have this feeling, like Rod said, the Eagles just seem like a team of destiny.
But I will say this: shout out to Byron. Byron called that early this year. Eagles Super Bowl.
He didn't call that Kansas City though. He said another team was going to be in there.
Yeah, he tried.
Chargers.
He tried.
Chargers.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart. And I try to tell him. Like, listen, Patrick Mahomes ain't falling off. But the Eagles pick, it's been flying high the entire year, and for good reason. Jalen Hurts has really proven, one, that he belongs, and two, that he needs to stay. And the Eagles have a huge, win or lose, they have a huge decision to make. And just Jalen Hurts getting it out the mud, man. He's been tried and tried and tried and tried again. And at every turn, he finds a way to get the most out of his situation. So, big up to that brother for making it here. And he has a great opportunity, a great chance to absolutely win this game. But I just think there's one thing we're not talking about, is that the lack of experience the Eagles have. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes been there, done that, 5 AFC championships in a row. I just think if the Kansas City gets off to a fast start, the Eagles will be in trouble, because the Eagles really have been behind at all this year. And really, pretty much everybody on the Eagles, this is their first time, pretty much in the Super Bowl. So I'm a lean on Patty Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the experience of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I am concerned. I am very concerned about the Kansas City Chiefs defense and secondary. But after
they held up well in the AFC Championship game. They held up well.
But that's what I'm hanging my hat on, is that obviously the road the Chiefs took was significantly more difficult than the Eagles. They
Steve
only had
Spagnuolo does a good job, man. Remember, he was the D coordinator against Tom Brady when they were undefeated too.
Spags. He only had to go through two former number 1 overall picks, and the Jaguars. Listen, the Jaguars are coming. Jaguars are definitely coming, and Joe Burrow is the only one that gives Patrick Mahomes problems. But 1, 2, knock them down. That's what Patrick Mahomes continues to do. 1, 2, knock him down.
Smash them,
fine.
stack them,
As
and
long
pin
as he
'em.
has his horses, I'm rolling with Pat. And Jalen Hurts, even though he's playing pretty well, he did not play well. He missed a lot. He's been missing a lot of throws. And I think things are going to be a little bit tighter in the Super Bowl, and he's really going to have to make some throws. There's not going to be too many where he could just lob up and be able to complete them. But the Eagles also have the best running game, so there's also that. So it's going to be a good one. I actually have a score. I'm saying 27-23 Chiefs.
Well, you know me. I told you I'm not good at the score picking. But what I am good at is these picks. So everybody was tied at 9-3 for the playoffs, and I was the winner of 10-2.
I don't know how that's possible because me and you tied again.
Now, hey, look.
You cheated.
I didn't cheat.
You did.
I didn't cheat.
Oh, Greg Williams.
Look, let me explain. The first round of the playoffs, everybody went 4-2. I went 5-1. The next week, me and Crevonte went 4-0. You and Byron went 3-1. And then for the last week, me and Crevonte went 1-1. You and Byron went 2-0.
Oh yeah, sound like one. Sound like he's back by one. But it's not over. It's not over. We still got one more game.
Well, me and both picked the Eagles. Unless I pick Kansas City, then I.
I got Kansas City, so I got a chance to tie.
You know what? Screw it. I'm picking Kansas City.
Oh, whatever.
I want to win this damn pick.
You gonna stick with the Eagles?
I want the Eagles to win. Damn it! But
then you stick with the Eagles then.
No, I want to pick what you want to pick.
Over here, he got on red like he playing for the goddamn Chiefs. No, set your ass back to the goddamn Eagles.
Right, I'm on Patrick's side.
You ain't on no Patrick side. Your ass picked the Eagles. Damn it! What my paper says you picked the Eagles. That's what we gonna stick to.
No, I'm picking the Chiefs.
Ain't no whiteout over here. I'm writing with a pen.
For picks purpose.
Sit your ass over here. We in this Eagles bandwagon together. Gas up the goddamn car because me and Byron on our way down.
I want to win.
Real quick.
Me and Byron on our way down 95. Go ahead, Crevonte. Hit it for me. Rolling down 95.
I do think the Eagles have the better team.
Yes, sir.
But I think the Chiefs have the better players at two positions, quarterback and tight end. All-time greats. Travis Kelce's the greatest tight end ever. I'm just going to call him that now. And Mahomes, now that Brady's gone, greatest quarterback left. So I shouldn't have bet against the tribal chief. I'm going with the Chiefs.
All right.
So we got 3 people on the Chiefs, and you play.
Oh, sit your ass down.
What? Come on,
I'm thinking 27-24, Crevonte. That's my score.
So Byron, I've been going back and forth with those scores, 27-23 or 27-24, because the total is at 50.5. So that's 50-51. That's right around there. So yeah, those are my two scores. Was 27. I like 27 and either 23 or 24.
I got 30-24 Chiefs.
30-24.
No, you don't, man.
No, you don't.
Hey, I'm hedging my bet, man. Let me hedge it. Let me just hedge it real quick.
Yes.
And watch he come on here next week. The Eagles win. I told you I picked the Eagles. Over there, like Shannon Sharp said, bull job.
You might see a great next week.
After the Super Bowl post-game show, right here on the Flex On podcast. We'll be live in some variety, talking Super Bowl, halftime show, all the good, bad, and ugly. After the Super Bowl, hit the bell, subscribe button, like button. And yeah, we do every year. Talk Super Bowl as only we can. Crevonte, you ready to get goofy and get out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's do this and get out of here.
For those who may have forgotten, the boy is back from Vegas, the capital possibly of goofiness. But it is time for Crevonte's Goofies of the Week. Hold on, I gotta get Goofy. He's still in Vegas, so go ahead with your spill. He'll make an appearance shortly.
And I will. Should I get into my story? I'll get into my story after Goofies of the Week. The one that's for the people. I'll tell y'all the other one after. But okay, I know it's been. I was out last week, and I didn't get a chance to do this, but I think when I was listening, Dre was like, I know Crevonte's not here, but that brother Ose was the Goofy of the Week for his just boneheaded play for on Patrick Mahomes while he's out of bounds. That's just. But also, the officiating for that game was suspect at that for the AFC Championship game was very. Oh, Goofy! Here. He's made it. He made it. I'm so glad he made it. The NFL officiating was definitely suspect last week. Well, for the AFC Championship game specifically, you didn't need no officiating for the NFC Championship game. Let me tell you. Okay. But I have two cards here. I have a low-level Goofy, which is green, jet green or Packer green, depending on who's been more goofier. Low-level Goofy, we kind of leave it there. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's just it's small. It's we usually leave it where it's at in the hopes that it does not become a bigger or greater Goofy. Which comes to Cardinal Red, because the Cardinals have consistently been goofy the entire year, and that's my high-level Goofy. That's the we got to congregate. We got to figure out what's going on. Why is it like this? And we have to talk about this. This is beyond laughter. This is beyond not funny. You know what I'm saying? And some things that absolutely have to be talked about and discussed. And this one I have one loan for the sake of time. Like I said earlier in the episode, my high-level Goofy is the Dallas Mavericks. I don't get an opportunity to do many basketball Goofies during football season, but this one just took the cake. Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets offer him an extension that was not to his liking. I believe he wanted the max. And Brooklyn Nets were like, no, as they should have. And he immediately asked for a trade, and they immediately gave it to him because the Goofies that share a city with the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks, decide to let's bite that. Let's bite the apple. Let's absolutely bite the apple. Giving up Byron, if I'm not mistaken, was it unprotected picks? I think they gave a 1 and 2 twos or something crazy like that.
1 in 2029 and some twos,
and then you get Kyrie Irving. You give away was that Finney and I forgot the Dinwiddie, and then so Dinwiddie's going back to his old stomping grounds. So you give 2 legit players and about 3 picks, 3 picks, and you get Kyrie Irving for half a season, along with Markieff Morris. Doesn't sound good, and that it's Kyrie Irving. We can go back. Let's just go back. Post 2016, because that was the peak of Kyrie Irving. Was that the shot heard around the world in Game 7 over Stephen Curry, in Game 7 of that 2016 championship run, coming back down from 3-1, and it when I believe Drake has a popular album. It was some time ago, but I believe it was called "Nothing Was the Same," and that's Kyrie Irving post 2016. It's nothing was the same. It was pretty much all downhill. He leaves LeBron James, and he goes to where did he go to? Boston, to try to be the guy. And the Celtics make it to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. How valuable are you? He gets out of there after telling the Celtics that he would resign. Whatever. That it's not much you can believe about Kyrie. Mr. Earth is flat, even though he tried to take that back. But we heard what you say. He's definitely one of those overthinkers where he outthinks himself at times. That's what happens when you think you're the smartest person in the room, when you're just the loudest. After the Celtics, he moves on to Brooklyn, and well, I think the Brooklyn and New York were on the list, and that's just so happens to be when KD leaves his situation and decides to team up with Kyrie Irving. Why? Type B personalities like to hang out, whatever. And it's just like it was so forced. It was so forced. They bring on James Harden, who put on 200 pounds, and it's just like, why? It looks good on paper. We know how that is. It just looks good on paper, and it just falls apart. Just as quickly as it goes up, it falls apart. They get Ben Simmons. Great move. Great move, guys. And he does nothing. He does absolutely nothing for them. Absolutely nothing. Kyrie Irving goes through his personal issues, off the court issues, and it just progressively gets worse. It just keeps progressing. Keeps progressing. So why on earth, Mark Cuban, would you think it's a good idea to bring a guy with that track record to your organization and team up with your superstar, who's a legit top tier superstar, arguably the best scorer in the league, and you think it's going to work? There is nothing related to Kyrie Irving that makes you think, yeah, he's the missing piece. The only team I can see him going to and putting them in the at least closer to where they need to go is the Lakers. Now I heard the Clippers were in play for a little bit, but I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. Like, why would you ever put Kyrie Irving and Kawhi Leonard on the same team? They would just be not talking. They'd be some not talking people. Okay, you wouldn't tell who was sad, who was mad, who was angry, or nothing because they just wouldn't talk. Whoever thought of that, they thought that was an idea. That would have been goofy too. Him going to the Clippers. They would have been some non-communicating folks, and Paul George would just be like, "Well, guys, what are we doing?" Kyrie, y'all saw the video. Kyrie was just the whole time. That's Kyrie for real. That's Kyrie for real. Why would you have his toxic, very toxic nature to your Dallas Mavericks? Talking to Mark Cuban and whoever, who is he the GM too? Or I don't know who the GM is for the Mavericks. It's him. So he's Jerry Jones in this situation. Makes sense. That's how they get down in Dallas. They own and they manage. They own and manage. Great job, guys. That's how you run a team, guys. That's how you run that team. Stupid. You're dumb. He needs to go back. He needs to do another Shark Tank episode or something. Because my heavens, just to let this go on, like there's no way you think you're supposed to be a forward thinker. Putting Kyrie Irving on a team outside of on any team that doesn't have LeBron James is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Because that's the only person that's proven that he can win with Kyrie Irving. Every stop Kyrie Irving has been at since leaving LeBron James has been a dumpster fire. An absolute dumpster fire. And so now what? You gave up this draft capital, Dinwiddie and Finney, in the hopes that you're going to win the championship this year? Because there's no way you're going to convince me that they're going to actually pay Kyrie Irving this offseason. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. You're not going to pay Kyrie what his asking price is. Because he already told Brooklyn. Y'all heard it. He wants a max deal, whatever that is. He wants that max 4 year, that max 4 year deal, whatever it is. Listen, there's no way. There's no way. So you basically got Kyrie for the next 3 to 4 months, and then he's gonna go. Then he's gonna be a free agent, and you're just gonna have Markieff Morris. Great job, guys. Great job. Goofy. But y'all know my line. There's a thin line between goofy and great, and Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks are on the wrong side of this. Got to do better, guys. Just got to do better.
Gosh, something wrong here.
Till next time, Goofy. Till next time.
And speaking of Goofy Crevonte, the GM of the Dallas Mavericks is actually Nico Harrison, who left where everybody? Nike, and became the general manager and president of basketball operations in 2021. So that could be more goofiness, Crevonte.
He left Nike.
I guess if you work at Nike, you can be a GM of a basketball team.
I was like, is that a qualification?
Apparently so.
That's what it says about him when I looked it up. So we shall see.
I guess since he manages shoes, he can manage people. Is that what we're saying?
Or maybe we just use our people.
Cut this off, man. Cut it off. I'm not doing this.
Thank you for
Conspiracy
that,
brother
Goofy of the
over
Week.
here.
Thank you for that, Goofy of the Week, Crevonte. Appreciate that. Drizzy Dre, episode 380. Another milestone episode next week.
Wow.
Continuing the
Oh,
Force
snap.
of Blackness
Oh,
series.
snap. I forgot
Oh, you can go ahead, Crevonte. Yeah,
the
tell your
story. I forgot. My bad.
Oh yeah, story time.
So story time, real quick. So I have a story going to Vegas and coming back to Baltimore. So I'm sitting on a plane, going to get ready to go to Vegas, and I'm on my phone trying to get my last couple bets in because they don't have DraftKings and FanDuel and all that stuff out there. So I'm trying to get my last little bets in before I leave Vegas. So the guy next to me sees me on DraftKings. And you know what? Now I think about a lot of conversations have started because of DraftKings and FanDuel. I will say that. But guy sitting next to me, he's like, "Hey, you get your last little bets in?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So he was like, "Yo, listen, I have a couple spots. Well, I have a spot that I want you to check out when you go to Vegas. That I go to, when I actually get the opportunity to." He said, "There's a spot called Circa in Old Vegas. It's on Fremont Street. They have a sports book. They have big TVs and all that, all the whole get up, food and all that. But they actually have a sports book that has better odds than the surrounding, the surrounding sports books." And I was like, "Word?" He said, "Yeah. And it's Old Vegas, so it doesn't get a lot of hype." And so when I was with Omar and CJ, Sunday, we have our festivities that I'll get into a little bit later. But the Sunday during the recovery stages of that, I was like, "Yo, let's go to Old Vegas and watch the game." So, we get an opportunity to go. And when I tell you Old Vegas is Old Vegas, it has the absolute old feeling, old vibes, old everything, like how it sits on a corner and all that stuff with the lights, and it's like old fashioned, but up to par Vegas. You know what I'm saying? It even smelled old, but it was a good smell. It wasn't funky or nothing like that, but it smelled good. And I was like, "This is really, really, really nice." And they had the sports book, and the sports book was really close to the TV, like kind of similar to how it is at Live, but literally, the lines wasn't crazy or nothing. And he was very right about the odds. The only thing is, I did not like Caesar. I don't like Caesar Sportsbook. Personally, I definitely prefer but FanDuel and DraftKings. But so that's one betting story. Now, The funnier story was me coming back. So I was I when I checked into my flight, I was still like on the group B, and by the time I got on, I was later in group B. So in South, I'm taking Southwest. So the first things happen is the window seats and the aisle seats get taken first, right? So when I get on, all I see is straight middle seats available. Yo, not who, what do I see? Maybe about halfway down the plane, I see the brightest Patrick Mahomes jersey. Oh, the brightest Patrick Mahomes jersey. And I'm like, seat wide open, but I see him and the guy that's in the window seat going at it. Talking. I'm like, that's the place where I need to be. I need to be right there. I need to be right there. So I get back there and I was like, this seat looks available. He's like, yeah. So cool guy. His name was Frank. He's actually from Kansas City, but he lives in Parkville. He lives in Parkville, in the county. And the guy, so obviously he's a Chiefs fan, and the guy was a Ravens fan. So you already know what they was talking about. Yo, when I tell you our flight was delayed, and we got on, my flight got delayed about 3 or 4 times. And when we actually got on the plane, it was a delay when we got on the plane. So we wasn't moving, but yo, between us three, we talked the entire flight. Everything, the absolute entire flight. And I'll always, bring the flex on wherever I go. Got them two talking about a podcast. One other brothers has a podcast, has a sports podcast as well. He mainly talks about football, but swapping information and all that. But yeah, really good brothers and really good conversation. And that ride coming back home was arguably the best ride I've had on the flight, because I've never had that interaction with 2 people on one flight. So yeah. If that flight was 4 hours, we probably talked about 3.5.
Only thing Ravens fans need to be talking to the Chiefs about is when can we interview Eric Bieniemy for your offensive coordinator position? Because goddamn it, they need to make it happen. It need to be somebody from either the Chiefs or Eagles at this point, as long as they taken. Commanders still looking too, right, Crevonte?
Yep, absolutely. We're waiting for. So we actually just interviewed Anthony Lynn. So that's one that I was. Excuse me. That Byron, we were talking about in the Commanders video. I was talking about Anthony Lynn. We just interviewed him, but obviously we're waiting on Eric Bieniemy too. But we might be looking at a couple of the brothers from the Eagle staff as well. So yeah, Eric Bieniemy is going to be a hot take, and a couple of guys from the Eagles might find themselves as an offensive coordinator next year.
We'll definitely break that news when it happens. Might get a video from me this week on why it's taking the Ravens so long. A lot of guys getting second interviews this week, and when that Commanders news breaks, we'll have that for you as well. Dre, how can they start the day with a cup of Dre? And episode 380, as we mentioned next week, Sports and Blackness continues. Let them know.
Hey, you can hear me on WEAA 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then next week, our Sports and Blackness series continues. I think we have some really great guests coming this month, so looking forward to it. So stay tuned, y'all.
Big Raj, social media platforms, social media producer you are. Let the people know what we got coming up on the channel and what's already there.
AEW Dynamite on Wednesdays as usual. It was a very interesting AEW Dynamite last week with your boy Ninja Boy and that's a whole different subject. Super Bowl coming up. Super Bowl post game show on Sunday coming up, so stay tuned for that. I guess we have. I'm not sure what else is coming this week on the channel, but
you'll get a Ravens video probably around Wednesday.
Okay, well we'll get a
LeBron. He's gonna break the record, so that video.
Oh, that's right. Well, LeBron will be breaking the record either Tuesday or Thursday. So we'll be
Hopefully
having
Thursday.
we'll have a video ready for that for LeBron James when he breaks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's
So
record.
Chuck and Shaq.
Oh, go James. It's going to be Thursday. I predicted Thursday.
I hope Thursday, so I can do things that need to be done.
Right. So just stay tuned. We're gonna have some content up, basically.
Yes, Ravens video, LeBron video, post game show, and I'm gonna start some Orioles videos soon as we are less than 10 days away from spring training. So baseball season and warm weather right around the corner. Got a lot to talk about with the Orioles. So go ahead, Crevonte.
And you know the draft right around the corner too.
Yeah,
NFL draft.
Oh, that's right. Y'all gotta get your player profiles ready. Very soon.
Yes, sir.
Got player profiles. A lot of things coming. Just stay tuned to the channel. Got some more NFL topics I want to tackle. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks as we get ready for the NFL off season. Flex Zone Podcast, fellas, only place giving you sports how you want it.
When you need it.
Yes, Paul, WNBA draft as well. Flex Zone 1 on Twitter and Instagram. FlexZone1 at gmail.com. FlexZone1 on Cash App. Flex Zone Podcast.
Hey, you're right.
Yep, we'll talk about that as well. When the time
South Carolina, look at South Carolina and LSU. There's gonna be some girls coming up out of there.
Just take the whole team. Next week, episode 380, we'll be recapping the Super Bowl and of course the post game show on Sunday. Join us. We'll talk about it all. Halftime show, whatever you want to talk about, and previews for the next NFL season. Executive producer Andre Melton, senior producer Crevonte Hurd, social producer yours truly, social media producer Big Raj. Throw your ones up and acknowledge the head of the sports podcast table. A lot of content coming. WrestleMania season. We'll have WrestleMania live stream. We got Elimination Chamber coming up, AEW Revolution. So a lot on the channel. Look forward to. Subscribe, share, like, vote on the poll. Let us know who wins the Super Bowl. Again, for Dre, Crevonte, Big Raj, and myself. Again, happy birthday, Mom. Love you. And until next week, stay tuned to the channel for new videos each and every day. Peace.
Peace. Happy birthday, Mom. Dude.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.